most people would let that stop them, and don't know that you can actually close that loop and get back to your wholeness that you came into this world
Oh,
with.
I have never said, and I'm not afraid to have it. And I surprised the shit out of myself. I was standing in my kitchen and I said it and I was like, and I'm not afraid to have it. Where did that come from?
Mm.
I don't feel that hesitation at all anymore. I don't feel the hesitation of not starting a company because of money. And
Shame is like, I'm bad, versus guilt is like, I did something bad. It's about the behavior. Shame is about, I am bad, or I am wrong, or I am broken.
Welcome to Going Goddess, the podcast where empowerment meets embodiment and divine feminine energy leads the way.
we're your hosts. I'm Silver Luna.
And Cherry, your chief empowerment officers and cosmic hype girls, here to remind you that your magic is not up for debate.
Every week, we're bringing real talk, rituals, and rising woman energy straight to you. Whether you're just soft launching your inner goddess journey or you're leading a full-on revolution, you belong here.
Let's go, Goddess.
Welcome back, everyone. We are so excited to have Ellie back on the pod today. I guess I can introduce myself. I'm Cherry, and I'm here with.
Hey guys, I'm Silver Luna.
Yes. And as I just mentioned, we have Ellie Richter, subconscious wizard, somatic goddess, and Psych-K master. What else are you at the top of the mountain? She's just one of my very favorite people on earth, guys. And if you haven't heard subconscious wizardry episode, I think 2 or 3 ago, go check it out. Spotify and YouTube. So awesome. And we've been having a lot of fun with Ellie over the past couple of weeks. We've been, playing around a little bit with Psych-K, reworking some, replacing these limiting beliefs and turning them into something that feels really good that we can build off of and enjoy. What else have we been up to, Silver?
Well, after our session with Ellie, which was episode 20 for the record, so if you're on YouTube, I will also drop a card here. But since our time with Ellie, we had a mini Psych-K session, which is what we're here to talk about today, and I can't wait because it's been a game changer for me. What about you, Cherry?
Yes, it has. And I love it because I've worked with Ellie, well, as y'all know, like since she's been in my life since college, so like over 10 years. And I've done a few Psych-K sessions, but to witness Silver Luna go through a Psych-K session and to hear that it has been a game changer for you is amazing. Um, so I'm Ellie sitting here. I'm like, maybe let's ask Ellie some questions, but also I want to hear your whole experience, Silver. Um, Ellie, how are you today?
I'm so, I'm so excited to be with you guys, and to follow up on the experience. We talk about something, and it's tough to describe it. So I always love to hear people's personal experience, and it's so fun to come back. So I'm so excited and honored to be back to talk about it. And I think it's super cool to just kind of have the understanding of what is a subconscious change versus a coaching or therapy session. So how does it differ? What does it offer? How can we click them together type thing? So Silver, when we dropped into your Psych-K session, you had a like really specific growing edge, which I think is really cool. Like sometimes people's growing edge is a little bit more open and it's emotional. Let's say you're going through grief or you're going through divorce or loss. So your experience after subconscious change, maybe that you experience more peace and that you feel better internally, but there's not necessarily like external immediate feedback. So in your case, we had immediate external feedback. So do you want to talk about your experience?
Yeah. So for my session, I chose to focus on a growth, which was that I want to be successful on my own and to have run my own company, essentially be able to sustain myself without needing corporate income. Um, I will say whenever I chose that as my subconscious healing moment, I didn't really consider what comes after that, if I were to actually accomplish what I've been holding myself back from. So, to give some context, I've been working on setting up my Golden Helia Designs website for months. I started it in the summertime on the Shopify trial of $1 per month for the first 3 months while you set up your website. And I was like, okay, I can set this up quickly, no problem. That way it'll be online. I can see how it works for the next couple of months. Well, it didn't happen. And I constantly have just had a reason why it wouldn't happen. Either I didn't want to take the product photos or I didn't know how to install an app on the website. And so whenever I told you that I wanted to be successful on my own and out of the corporate life, I didn't really consider what would happen if I actually accomplished the website. But it's been a beautiful journey because on Friday after our meeting or after our session, I started the website up right away. And then I went to rest for the evening because I was pretty tired after the Psych-K session, to be honest. It had wiped me out emotionally. Um, and then Saturday, I just got straight to work. It has been seriously a game changer. Like I didn't have any second thoughts. It was like second nature. When I woke up, I was just excited to go work on the website, and I got it launched by Monday. Like I launched the website on Monday. So after a 3-month hiatus, to the extent that I finally canceled the account and the website altogether, I restarted it and launched the website within a weekend. So that's been pretty awesome to see.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes, thank you. So that has been my experience with that growth moment. Also, do we talk about like the trauma closure loop as well? Because in the second piece of that, so we did 2 mini sessions with Ellie, and the second piece of that was closing a trauma loop. And for me, that trauma loop was a bankruptcy that I filed in 2015. And that's something I don't talk about a lot because it's financial, number 1. Number 2, it makes me feel like I've been irresponsible for a large period of my life. And number 3, it also makes me feel like I'm not ever good enough because my credit wouldn't reach to whatever, and I wouldn't be able to purchase and accomplish different things, start my own business if I don't have a line of credit, etc. Well, we did the Psych-K on that trauma loop, and I don't feel that hesitation at all anymore. I don't feel the hesitation of not starting a company because of money, and that has always been um, my dilemma. The thing that holds me back the most is just like, how do I do this? I don't have the money to do it, and I don't have that nagging thought in the back of my head anymore, and I'm just like posting things to my website and to my store without second guessing it.
I want to celebrate you for so much, and also for showing up vulnerably, leading with vulnerability. Like Brene Brown, Dare to Lead. What you just did there and sharing that story is so huge, and I know like it's really impactful to me, and I'm not the only one because that is a scary thing to share. And I'm so proud of you for sharing that, and I'm so proud of you for working through it. Thank you, Ellie, for
Yes.
facilitating that. It's
Thank
huge.
you, Ellie.
And I
And thank
celebrate
you,
you for
Terry.
doing the damn thing, sis. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
and thank
I mean, to listen to you share that without stress and watching you and in your body, you're sharing that as if you ate a banana yesterday. Like, so it's really cool when you're in a whole brain state about your past. We talk so much about letting the past go. It's like letting it be by really integrating the emotional charge about it and integrating the lesson that it didn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean anything bad. It, taught you so much. And hitting that moment in our lives also, once we are in a fear moment, then we're not afraid anymore. That when the worst happens, you're like, okay, the worst happened. I'm here, you know, and I learned a lot, and I'm even more empowered because of it. And to witness you in that consciousness is pretty amazing. Congratulations.
well, thank you. It's been really great. It's been pretty freeing, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. I think the part that I wasn't considering was the integration afterwards because I didn't consider how likely I would be to actually start my website that
Mhm.
quickly. So now it's a matter of just making the products and posting them, and honestly, that's the fun part. That's the art part. So I'm
Oh
excited
my
for it.
God.
So thank you.
So cute.
Can you imagine, you guys, like, so many people would never, they have a trauma like bankruptcy, and because of that, they never ever go take a risk ever again. You know, just, just most people that experience something that stressful and embarrassing, I guess. Like if I were to go through that, I would feel shame. I'd beat myself up. Even though my higher self now understands and watching you, it's happening for us. It's a really beautiful and important opportunity, especially for those of us that are meant to create a lot of wealth and meant to be really abundant, I think. So, and most people would let that stop them, and don't know that you can actually close that loop and get back to your wholeness that you came into this world with. So your example hopefully inspires people to know that no matter what is happening for us, we can let it be and we can continue to take risks.
Yeah, agreed. I was that example of letting the trauma hold me back from accomplishing what I was trying to do until the Psych-K session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, until you released it, no matter what modality we end up choosing, just the fact that we can release something so empowering to know like that we're not victims to our circumstances or our past or our genetics or our trauma experiences.
Right. Yeah, we have the power to change all of it,
Mhm.
and it's not hard. It's just knowing the right tools and having the people in your corner to support you when you need to make those changes. That was
Something I
awesome.
heard you say so far is like now you're excited to do these things, which is like opposite of where you were beforehand. And it's such a beautiful example of like where there was fear, now there's excitement and curiosity and like positive vibes. And it's like still at a place where we don't know what the future holds here, but instead of seeing it through fear lens, we see it through joy lens and excitement.
Yeah,
And that is huge. I love that.
yeah,
Congrats.
that's true. Thank you. That is how I feel. I feel a lot less fear and a lot less concern about the website not working out or something. I haven't even thought about that actually since our conversation or since our session.
That's amazing. The definition of a miracle is a shift in perception, so you created a miracle for yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Perceiving yourself differently. You're perceiving your past differently, yourself, what's possible for you. So actually multiple miracles.
Nice. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's huge. I've been having a few miracles myself. I don't
yeah,
say so
Terry.
myself.
Yeah, you want to tell the goddesses about your story?
Yeah. Um. So like just this last one, still kind of figuring out some stuff around like finances, and I grew up in like had everything I ever needed, but had some weird like experiences around finances and with my parents and like seeing my dad really like I mean, he told me that he would never be happy until he had financial peace. So that tells a little girl that number one way to be happy in life is to have financial peace. And then he also modeled that he could work and work and work and work and it was never enough. And so just a really like screwed up version on that. And we worked through a lot. And um, there was a specific moment here. I'm going to be vulnerable to Silver. Thanks for setting the tone. Where I was standing in my kitchen and my dad and I were like in a big fight, and I was just like, Dad, would you just let us love you? We would give up this house and we would give up everything if we could just love you and spend time with you and you love us back in the way that we and he looked at me and said, I'll never be happy till I have financial freedom. And that hurt at that time. And so with the Psych-K session, to get to go in and for me, what like came up was I was just standing there in the kitchen with my dad and me, and I was just holding their hands, and it was still happening, and it's okay. Like that is a thing that happened. It's not a reflection of me. And I was able to see like, oh, it's what my dad was going through and like his wounds and things that he needs to hurt. And I am worthy of financial peace. And like today I was journaling on it. I'm worthy of financial peace. I have financial peace. And the other day when I was saying I was doing like a manifesting um I'm standing there manifesting as we do. And, and so I was like, I manifest $487,000 and I'm not afraid to have it. And I've said the I manifest $487,000 a bunch of times. And y'all, that is, I've done some like energy check ins, and that is the number that's in the field for me. And I really saw attachments to it. Also, I have never said, and I'm not afraid to have it. And I surprised the shit out of myself. I was sitting in my kitchen and I said it and I was like, and I'm not afraid to have it. Where did that come from?
Mm.
Oh, girl. Let's give ourselves hugs and like love, because I'm so excited to not be afraid to have it, and didn't realize that that was a block that I had until like Psych-K. So
Mm.
that was a big miracle for me. And then also to just know that I have financial peace. I have it. I don't have to question it. And like I had to work through actually today when I was like journaling, I was like, what is financial peace? And it's like me knowing that it's all gonna work out, and it is working out. It always has. And I'm excited about all the abundance flowing to me, and I'm like drowning in abundance, as I said here. Like that is drowning in the best way, but like, yeah, so that feels like really yummy and delicious. And then the one that has been like funny and like curiosity, and definitely not fear-based, but like, damn, I'm learning lessons right now, is I surrendered to God's will. And God, universe, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it, guys. That for me was like the piece of, okay, so I'm calling these things in, and I surrender to what my highest, best timeline, whatever that looks like for me. And so I've been like really thinking about that, and like, and that is my beliefs. And so I've been given opportunities to surrender and trust and surrender and trust. And I'm like, oh, wow, I really thought that paycheck was going to get put in my account on payday. Wow, that's not well, we surrender and we trust. And it, guess what? It continues to work out. And I'm in a better place now than I ever have been. So how silly of me to question any of it. And that's okay. That I did. But like now that I have this peace, and it feels exciting, and it feels like I'm on an adventure.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like your story of finances is so powerful, because our money programming goes so deep, and hearing a message like that when you're forming your beliefs about money and where happiness come from is so challenging, right? So if you're a little kid and you hear your parents say, I'll never be happy until I have money, that program, right? Like, so happiness depends on money. That's a really complicated program, because there is some aspects to it that then you want money, but a part of you doesn't want money. And then what about love? And the so it's a very complicated, and we spend some time like sorting through that program and what you actually needed to believe instead, right? So for you, it was all about worthiness and receiving, and that you get to receive, and that love and money are also two separate topics, just noodling that out in your subconscious. So that was super powerful. And I know, like, emotionally hungover type session, we went like all the way. It was intense.
Yeah. It's so true. And like, what a great lesson for me to learn again of like, hey, this work is work, and your body like feels it. So when you're like, I needed to nap and like chill on Friday after that Psych-K session, like, yeah, absolutely. And Psych-K isn't the only modality that we need to rest after we release these things or talk about them or spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm around a lot of different healing modalities here in Encinitas, California. I still think Psych-K is the fastest as far as like the gentlest. And I'm like, I'm so into gentle these days. I'm so into gentle. Fast and gentle sounds great to me.
Mhm.
And think about it. If your system, like how long ago was the bankruptcy? 10 years, Silver, right?
Yeah,
So
10 years now.
10 years, your nervous system was holding that. And even if you didn't think about it on a conscious level, the 95 to 99% of your subconscious was holding that and looping on that. And anytime you used your card, you paid for something, you thought about money. So what, couple hundred times a day? Couple of
Mhm.
hundred times a day, your nervous system got triggered,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Below you, and so like there's a undercurrent of tension. So when you close a trauma loop, your body's like, oh my God, whoa, whoa. And then you're just like out for a while. And depending on how much you're holding, you might just go through like a whoop, just a recalibration afterwards. I remember through some processes that I did with myself in the beginning, that I was sick for days, like sick physically, just because when you're closing a loop that your body been holding for decades, your body's like, okay, I need to figure out my new normal after this. And then the sickness it's not bad. It's a beautiful thing. It's in homeopathy or other medical system. It's always a good thing when the patient experiences symptoms after the medicine. It means it's working and the body is using it and integrating it. So I'm celebrating you both. I'm really in awe, and also really love that you both were super courageous and working on money. Money is actually one of the easiest energies to attract in our lives. It's a beautiful, wonderful energy. And there's so much emotional charge around it, so much fear, so much lack, so much shame. And it's not money that's the problem. It's our beliefs about it. And I think moving forward in this new paradigm, whatever it's going to look like, we need really good beliefs and supportive beliefs about this topic. So I think money, sex, and food are probably the most emotionally charged topics. You
Yes,
know,
I can absolutely see that.
um, people get really activated around these topics, and so their relationships, like everything else. So having good relationships with these topics is always a good idea.
Mhm. Yeah, and listeners, I can tell you that having a friend to watch and to witness and to be there with you during your session is amazing. It's just totally different. If I would have done it alone, I think I would have still gotten the same thing out of it, but I think that I felt a support that I wouldn't have had doing it by myself out of a curiosity. It's nice to have that friend there and to know that I'm like doing it and I'm being vulnerable, but it's not that I'm just being vulnerable for the sake of it. I'm doing it for a cause, and someone's there to support me along the way.
It's
And
so
it was
cool.
beautiful to witness yours too, Cherry. It was so amazing to sit there with you and be there in that moment with our eyes closed, sitting next to young Cherry with her dad, asking for love. It was just so sweet, and I feel honored to be a part of it.
I felt so supported, truly.
Good.
And it is so special to be witnessed in those moments. I'm a member of the sports tribe. And goddesses, if you've been on any of the grave readings in the morning, I talk about soul tribes a lot and how vital they are for joy and for fun and for when you're growing and in these intense moments, like having Silver there felt so good.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Thank you so much, sis. I'm awesome. Ellie, what was it like doing Psych-K for two people?
I love it. So I love the witnessing piece. So Psych-K is traditionally facilitated one-on-one. And as my understanding goes, it's not necessarily taught to witness someone else's experience, and I personally think it's really beautiful anytime you have a witness. The witnessing makes something real. I'm probably butchering this, and I have my science friends in the back of my head. When you're just by yourself and there's nobody perceiving you, is it even real? So like when there's one or two people perceiving you, it adds meaning to the experience. And when something is emotionally meaningful in a positive way, it's like the opposite of a trauma. Trauma is emotionally challenging, right? And when you're alone in that emotional challenge, it's even more stressful. Now, the repair of that, when it's emotionally freeing, positive, and then having a witness in that, I think only adds to the healing imprint.
Yeah.
something that you guys witness each other in a positive emotion, and that creates like the opposite of a trauma loop, if that makes sense. Whatever the opposite of a trauma loop is.
A love loop.
No, I just like a
Yeah.
joy.
Like a love loop.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's something that I personally struggle with a lot, and something that I think that Cherry balances me out a lot with are permission slips.
Mhm.
Being something, from my childhood all the way up till today, I still have a problem sometimes with doing the things or understanding how to do the things that people do, just wanting to make sure that I do it the same way that I'm supposed to. And of course, that's an unprogramming that I'm still working on. But one-on-one sessions like this are where do feel like sometimes I get stuck and I start to wonder, am I doing it right? Or like after the fact, you're like, is that how it should have been done? And start to question it. Having a partner, having a friend there to witness gives that permission slip to know that it doesn't matter if it was right or not. You did it in the way that best suited you. It didn't feel like I was being told that you did it wrong or whatever that could have given me that concern later on, if that makes sense.
It does. And if we were to not be on a podcast, I would now ask you about your beliefs about this kind of stuff.
No, like,
Because you're creating some limitations for yourself here, goddess. Like it's super
Definitely.
awesome. And what I'm hearing is that at times you might question your decisions and second guess yourself, and that's another program and a set of beliefs.
Yep. 100%. That's something I've definitely identified, and I try to work through it. But I agree that would definitely be a good Psych-K opportunity.
That opportunity, you could be like, adjust the choices I make, and so what I love that you're highlighting here is I think every human struggle with that. We have multiple voices in our heads, and depending on who you're talking to, some people call it the ego, some people do parts work, but ultimately we all know we have multiple voices in our head, and there's that one voice that's always reflecting the program. How am I supposed to do this? What should I do? Like the supposed to, as if there's such a thing, And sure, as we're growing up with parents, they tell us there's a right way and a wrong way. So there's a whole program that we have a perception that there's a way we're supposed to do things and a way we're not supposed to do things. And as we're growing older, we're recognizing, well, we can actually do things the way it feels right to us. And I think that's really the world we live in now, like more so than ever before. We're differentiating in a gazillion different ways. So we really got to unlearn the supposed to and the shoulds, however, and keep some sort of moral compass at the same time, keep some sort of like 10 commandments or something to not go rogue. I mean, it's like a fine line, right? And it comes down to empowerment and, what Sherry mentioned earlier, like really feeling into what's right and then doing that and learning to connect to your higher self and let your intuition guide you. Like what we talked about happened yesterday. There was another voice talking to you about what was going on and strengthening the higher self connections, like a radio station, Are you dialed into you're supposed to do this, or are you dialed in like, hey, I think this is happening for you and let's go here,
Right. Yeah, definitely. It is a daily struggle, but it's something that I fight pretty frequently.
And I think that's part of the human experience. Honestly, that's what pushed me into Psych-K. I couldn't take it anymore in my head. The constant between my higher self saying, do this, and my program saying, you should be doing this. And it was always such a huge gap, And my program, like for most people, the program is really leading us away from where we need to go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you told me, Ellie, after the Psych-K session we did like a month and a half or so ago, and I was like really like the integrating part took a few days, like you said, when you were sick, when my like central nervous system's resetting, I felt like untethered to the world. What's going on here? Like, and it's so good. And in the midst of all of that, though, I realized, well, I didn't know that I was in judgment, but I reached out to you and I'm like, oh, it's just weird. I feel weird. I feel wrong. Like what? Feeling like I was questioning everything. And you reminded me, you're like, oh, Bunny, are you in judgment right now? Are you judging yourself for what you just did, for what you're going through, for where you're at, like all these things. And it was like, oh shit. I could just drop the judgment. I could just like pour some compassion on my head and let myself feel weird and like yep. I mean I pictured that. I'm like, okay, just
Yes.
and baths and tea and all the things. And it was really just like I was on the search for like what's gonna feel good. Okay, this pillow and this blanket and this tea and a nap and like and it was so okay. But the second that you told me drop the judgment was just so powerful for me. Because it's not like the judgment completely went away, but every time I started feeling ugh, I was like, "Ooh, judgment? Bye. Bye." And now I get to take that little tool with me of like, am I judging myself right now? Why? Like, what? Where? Who am I reporting to on this? On my self, like improvement, my self development, my love for myself, my joy. Like, I'm not reporting to anybody. Why am I judging myself? The permission slip, ding, ding, ding. And I love Silver that you credited me with that because I 100% credit Ellie with that permission slip. So I love.
Slips.
I love it.
There you go.
Full circle.
Totally. But yeah, permission slip to drop the judgment. There is no one that you need
Yeah.
to report to.
Yeah.
And it's so freeing.
So freeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
that. I'm pretty sure the permission slip came from somewhere else. I think human design, to me, I think that's probably where that comes from. It's like such a permission slip to be yourself. You know, we talked a bit
Mhm.
about human design. And that's like where the conditioned voice comes in. You should do this, but here's your permission slip to do actually what feels right to you. You know?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And I love that I have somebody in my corner all the time that is constantly reminding me of permission slips. I think that's the other beauty of it. Even if it came from somebody else, it's to have somebody that is always vocal about allowing you to be your best self and hyping you up, having a hype girl in your corner.
Yeah.
Having somebody to remind you that it's okay to use those permission slips, even when we
Yes.
know better. So I can know better all day long, but sometimes I'll still just not do the thing because I think, oh, I shouldn't do that.
You're saying that because I had a question this morning of like, is this, why am I? And then the next thought was, people are probably like, who does she think she is? And then I was like, oh, that's exactly where I want to be. So I'm going to keep doing it. But it felt really good to hear you just say that, even though you know, it's good to just read, oh, permission slip. Yeah, that's right. She gave me one.
Yep.
Thank you for saying that. I'll keep doing it.
Your permission slips are a permission slip.
I love that.
Permission slip for your permission slip.
Yes.
Oh,
Exactly.
Think about it this way, like there's so much destructive and energy in the world, and so many times that we're in a taking energy where we wake up and we're like, I need the day to make me happy. I need today for something to happen to me that makes me happy. And that's like that's like a taking energy, you know? So
Mhm.
like how nice it is that you're in a giving energy, that you're giving permission slips, that you're not taking, but you're giving, you know? So just keep on giving that because our life purpose is really to receive so we can give, you know? So we're receiving so we can give. You opening up to receiving is so that you can give.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Yes.
like that. That's a line.
I'm curious, Ellie, what your biggest breakthrough has been with your own Psych-K journey.
Shit. Sometimes I'm afraid of these, like, what's your biggest and what's your favorite? Because it's always the thing that I worked on recently, you know? So it's like, I think about this a lot. I just went to Hawaii with Psych-K colleagues and a friend of mine that's a Psych-K instructor. So she instructs this modality, and we did what's called a divine integration retreat, where we focused our processes around remembering our divinity and closing the illusion of separation. So working on any beliefs that keep us separate from each other and the world, basically. And coming into that retreat, I could feel that I had some limitations around that. and I couldn't pinpoint it. And the moment I got there, I was activated by a person that I was partnered up with. And I was like, oh, here we go. You know? So whenever you enter a room, it's like, what parts of yourself are you meeting today? You know, like what mirrors are you meeting? What lessons are you here to integrate? So it was this beautiful journey and really looking at some beliefs that I had carried deep down and fears and blocks to me showing up fully and also feeling fully connected. And it was pretty profound what I worked with. And then we went through an experience that was actually about life itself. I'm trying to talk about it in ways that that people can understand it, because without experiencing Psych-K, it's kind of like, speaking gibberish. Um, so in that experience, it took me hours, if not days, to integrate. So, when I hear your experience, Cherry, I sometimes do a Psych-K balance. Right before this podcast, I did a Psych-K balance around this podcast, just that we can have a really good time so that my energy could be set for this. And I don't feel much of a profound, some integration or whatever. Whatever I did in Hawaii, though, it took me days. I was hungover for days. And there was something I cleared that was about empathetically taking on other people's feelings and also their pain and their problems and releasing that unconscious contract. And so I felt like I was dizzy. I got nauseated for a day. I wasn't feeling great for a couple of days. And I feel now so much more connected to the world and to people. And granted, I've been doing this for 7 years and I've worked on really big trauma loops and things that I felt like I could never change in my life. So from money to health to relationships, I healed my underactive thyroid. I was taking 25 years on thyroid medication. I don't take thyroid medication anymore. My body looks and feels better than it ever did. There's so many things physically that I was able to shift with Psych-K. I was sexually assaulted twice in my life. And I have no problem with intimacy. I have no problem with connecting. I have no problem talking about any of these topics. I have no problem watching it on TV, those kinds of things where you would think that it would have some sort of ripple. So I guess to answer your question, the weekend in Hawaii was pretty profound recently to help me feel less burdened by what my soul signed up for. I don't know else to say that. It's a little bit difficult to put into words, but my experience afterwards was so intense, and I was telling my colleagues, no matter no matter how long you do something or how deep you go, it's so fascinating to me. And wait, there's more, not from the perspective of I'm broken or need fixing or I'm constantly fixing myself. It's not it. I am just really curious to expand more, and to unlearn more and to free my soul more, to be more connected and more present and less judgmental. It's what keeps us from connecting is stories and judgments, perceptions we have. Can I hear what's being said, truly what's being said, versus through ears of shame? How somebody might say, hey, you look good today. If you have shame, then you're like, what are you saying? Did I not look good yesterday? What are you saying? Do I need, that ears of shame or eyes of shame, looking at someone and immediately sizing them up. What's your nose thing? Why is your hair purple? And immediately looking at that as something to separate with, you know what I mean? So just, it never ceases to amaze me how many little programs we have that separate us, that disconnect us, that make us feel less than or better than, and out of the sudden we're disconnected. So my recent share and celebration is around closing some more of that separation, and I feel more connected, and I'm excited what else comes through that, And since then, I also feel a little bit more excited again. Sometimes I personally go through dips of fatigue, just fatigue, and I feel reignited and re-excited. So grateful for that. That was a long ass answer but it's, after you close after I close the bigger things in my life, now it's just kind of wow, look at that little thing. And I didn't believe, I had a belief that there is actually evil in the world, and that's a separation. I no longer believe that. I no longer choose to believe that, and I didn't for a long time. And with recent events, the last couple of years, I started to believe that. And I don't want to believe that. I don't want to carry that belief and that energy.
Mm, I can understand that. My favorite part about your answer, though, is that this is your most recent example because it's just further proof points that the end is never right in front of us. It's always evolving. We're evolving as people. We are constantly upgrading. It's not that we're fixing something that's wrong. It's an upgrade that's happening along the way. And you've been doing it for 7 years, but your most impactful experience is your most recent one. And it's because every single time you are more aligned and you're more in tune with what you're doing. And so I think that that's really exciting for the future of any listeners that are trying to dip their toes into Psych-K or just healing their mind, their subconscious healing.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, sometimes I have judgments, right? So I do live a pretty eccentric life. I am a pretty eccentric person and I am meant for that. And then I have judgments about how my journey went and how windy it is. And sometimes I joke I take the scenic route to things, so what the benefit is that once I'm done with that journey, I'm like, oh, I can tell you, don't go here. And that leads nowhere. Like, you know, and this is fun, but doesn't also lead somewhere. And then eventually it really sets in and then it makes sense, and I think at some point looking back and for things to make sense is also funsy. And one thing that I can certainly say is that there is no arriving, there's no arriving there. I used to really have a belief, I guess, in my 20s or earlier in my life that is at some point you come into a point in your life and then you just cruise. And like you have children or you buy a house or whatever and you have a job and then you cruise. And that is just no. And sometimes I used to wonder when people had a lot of money or reached a certain status like artists and they had a lot of big success, I used to think, why do they keep working? Why are they still doing stuff? Like I used to think once you get to a certain point, then you stop or you cruise. It's like a really interesting program that I used to have, and we're like trees. We'll never stop growing. We're always looking to follow the light. And it's not about it coming from a place of not enoughness. Eventually, when it comes from a place of like, my soul signed up here, I'm a vessel, I get to receive and give light, and it becomes really fun. In what ways you do that, So I do think after a really long time, there was a really long time I wanted to fix myself because I did feel broken and I did feel that trauma uh had broken my life, you know. But it's never like that. It's always a portal to purpose.
Yes. Oh man, I love that. And yeah, what you're saying, like it just sounds like that to me is upward spiral. Like it's cyclical, but we're going up. So we're not on the same level, but we might revisit somewhere. And that's okay. And something came up around, what about the people that are like, okay, cool, I did one Psych-K, now like what else? And not, or one modality, I healed something. What else? What else? What else? And it's like, do we wait for something to just like show up and be like, oh shit, like where's the hygiene in this? You know what I mean? For like stuff that we could be working on, but we don't want to be in this state of like healing all the time. Sometimes we got to show up and live a little bit or something.
I mean, beliefs create reality, love, So, like, beliefs create reality. If you have a belief that you're broken and need fixing, or that things have to take a long time, or that it'll lead to a behavior that you might call self-help junkies, that happens, I used to be a self-help junkie, read all the books. I read all the books and never implemented anything, so it always comes back to me of what are the beliefs of this person? Where's their consciousness at? And sometimes hopping from one thing to next is just what the person is meant to do. or the person isn't ready to go deeper. I've done all of this. I've hopped around. I've tried every new thing. I've read it and never implemented it. I've done all of this, and in hindsight, I'm like, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's just what I was meant to do at this moment. And I was meant to learn that I needed to actually follow through. I was meant to learn to feel my feelings instead of like looking for the next thing. However our journey goes, it's perfect, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
like who am I to say, oh, you got to stick with this, or you got to do this, or you got to do that? Like, you know?
Well, yeah.
So people will find this when they want it, you know? And typically I work with people who are here for like next level leadership, you know? So if you want that in your life, I am also the type of person, I like to go as deep into shadows and into every aspect in myself that is unknown so that I can be really honest and really authentic and really in my truth. And that feels good to me. And I like doing that, you know? And I'm a little bit of a weirdo in the sense that I like to go into really painful stuff and dark stuff to bring it to light and to integrate it. So not everybody wants that, you know?
True. We need people that want to do that because some people need the light and the guide to take them there. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you guys are doing it too, you know? So without really looking at the darkness, it's all just bypassing, you know? So I like to look as deeply as I can into all those corners. And then I do like to have fun with it and no shamesies, you know? And I think that's a really important thing, Sherry. Like, I think shame and judgment are worse than anything else, really. You
Yes.
know, those habits, and this is what I think with personal development or therapy or
So good.
shame is like, shame is a belief set, you know? So shame is a belief set that any belief that you're not enough or flawed or broken or too different that you can't connect causes the shame feeling. Like shame is like I'm bad versus guilt is like I did something bad. It's about the behavior. Shame is about I am bad or I am wrong or I am broken. And yeah, I find shame to be in a very difficult to experience emotion for people. And most people go to great lengths, including me, to great lengths to avoid feeling the feeling or actually acknowledging it. And then also after you acknowledge it, then to shift the program. You can shift that program. You can shift the beliefs that you're bad. We don't have to fight it for the rest of our lives, you know? We can really shift that. Unshaming is huge. There's so much pain caused by shame. Well, the person and the people around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
Psych-K being really beneficial for shame.
Yes. Well, and sometimes it takes a while for the person. Like, I have some people that have so much shame that they even have shame with talking about, you know, what's painful. So it takes unshaming on all levels, you know. Yeah. And I would say that's the number one reason that people come to this work without realizing it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think people could identify that what they're experiencing is shame if they don't know to put a word to it? Like,
Anxiety, panic attacks.
mm,
Panic attacks are to me so I have an example of a person I'm thinking about right now. This person is not fully honest in their relationships and thinks they are. They are as honest as they are aware of being honest. And then when they are being found out by the people that they're not fully honest, their system responds with a panic attack. They go into full blown, what some people would identify as shame spiral. He doesn't identify it yet, or they don't identify it yet. The person thinks it's a panic attack. So they are not yet fully aware that it's coming from them realizing they made a mistake and that their subconscious now believes they're bad. So they're having a full-blown panic attack, an anxiety attack, and it's actually shame they're feeling. So shame feels pretty bad in the system. Not saying every panic attack is caused by shame or is something about shame. And for this person, like you asked, what's one thing they can, like if you have a lot of anxiety, or panic attacks, then you might experience shame a lot and you may have a lot of beliefs that you're bad, you know?
Wow.
Or if you make up a lot of stories that people are mad at you, or that they don't like you, then chances are you also hold a lot of shame and beliefs that you're bad. You know, when you perceive other people's lives as meaning something about you, like your friends are hanging out without you and you see that on social media and you're like, oh my God, they don't love me. That's typically shame. That's typically coming from beliefs. I'm bad. I'm unlovable. They don't like me. Well, what's that? That's shame. So remember, shame is a feeling. It's an energetic set point, and energetic set points come from beliefs.
Yes.
Beliefs always precede a feeling. So what beliefs cause shame? I'm bad. I'm not good enough. I'm ugly. I'm stupid. I'm behind. Right?
Yeah.
And then we feel shame. So if you're wondering if you have shame, ask yourself, do you think any of these things about yourself deep down? Do you think at all you're stupid, not good enough, not worthy, not as cute, not as capable, any less than? That's shame. So I would say everybody has shame on some level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean? So, like, first of all, I didn't know that I had shame when the whole Brene Brown thing started. It was like a long time ago, right? I was like, shame? I don't resonate with that at all. I don't have shame. I was like, shame. And it was because I was eating my feelings all the time. And I didn't even let myself get to an anxious point. Like, I would eat it and numb it before it even could, like, lurk, like, I would nip those feelings in the butt immediately by shoving them deep down, and then overfunction so hard that I would never slow down enough or be present enough to even feel that I had these beliefs or these feelings in my body. So I think a lot of people, because shame is so difficult, are in such reactivity to shame that they're so busy not feeling shame that they are really out of touch having shame, if that makes sense. If a person is busy all the time running around, doing 5,000 things, having the kids, being on all the committees, having the husband, always working out, doing all the things, you're not feeling and you're not connecting to that. What's actually driving all of that is a belief that you're not good enough.
Yeah, you're distracting yourself from
You're
actually
just
thinking
not
it.
feeling. You're in the
Mhm.
pattern of avoiding the feeling. And that's where I think a lot of people are. And then they're just like, and then eventually something in their life breaks down for them to wake up. Like maybe their marriage ends or something happens to their job or they get sick. And out of the sudden they're like, oh, book, and then you have to look at what are the underlying beliefs. Well, if we're operating on a belief, I'm bad, I'm flawed, eventually that beliefs create your reality. And then you have to look at that and heal it and shift it and love yourself, you know?
This is very, like, mind-blowing to think about anxiety attacks directly related to shame. Like, I'm reflecting on my life, I guess, because I've always had GAD, general anxiety disorder, up until about 5 years ago, maybe, ish, which is about whenever I kinda started my goddess journey, whenever I started, like, analyzing what I'm doing on my day-to-day, whenever I bought my first aerial rig. It was because I knew that I was gonna get fat if I didn't take care of my health in advance, and I had panic attacks all the time, and only in the last, like, 3 years or so, I feel weird even marking it on my, like, health forms because I don't have anxiety attacks anymore. When I do, it's very rare and I can identify what caused it. But I see the correlation now, and it makes complete sense. Even the most recent anxiety attack I had was at a doctor appointment, and the entire reason was because I was thinking of how I messed up with scheduling with another doctor, and so I started freaking out that I was messing up something in that appointment and started panicking and had a full-blown attack right there for a checkup. And it's crazy to analyze those moments, you're right, it is shame-based.
Well, you messed up. You
Yeah,
messed and then so most people have so much shame when we make a mistake. Making mistakes is some of the number one reasons people have shame. Now there's guilt, like, oh, I made a mistake, shit. And then there's shame, like, shit, I'm bad.
right,
I'm a fuck up.
that's
Oh
what
my, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out I'm actually a total fuck up. They're gonna see the truth. And that's what shame says. Shame says people will find out that you actually suck. you know? And then our nervous system responds to that belief with what we call an anxiety attack. And I'm giggling a little bit because calling it an anxiety attack is so funny, as if there's something outside of us attacking us, you know?
Huh.
All is really coming from inside the house. It's actually like our program that's attacking our well-being by saying all these things about us that aren't true. And that's what's actually attacking. And then our nervous system is responding appropriately to those types of thoughts by being like, because it's such a painful program to listen to. It's such a painful thing to hear. We would never say that to someone else, you know? You'd never say it to someone else. So, of course, having the anxiety is actually really appropriate, you know? And so it's really amazing when we get honest with what's causing anxiety and what our nervous system is always responding to our internal thoughts or what we hear externally or perceive externally. And then it's usually a very appropriate response to freak out
Yeah.
because it's not true, you know?
It's just a moment to stop. Those are the signals. Like, that's a
Yes.
signal to stop and analyze what's happening. Why?
Well,
are-
to
yeah.
love yourself, right? To stop
Yeah.
and love yourself.
Yeah.
I'm struggling right now. Wow, I'm struggling.
What do we do? Compassion. Dump it over your head.
Dumping that compassion.
Just dump it
Yeah.
over your head.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing? Like the fear of making mistakes, and that's a huge why people go into spirals.
Yeah.
That comes up probably, I'd say, 70% of the time, especially for men. Like a huge fear of making mistakes. That used to be a huge. Speaking about profound Psych-K sessions, I remember exactly where I was changing that belief. I was in Denver, Colorado, on the porch with my Psych-K teacher, and she suggested that I change my belief to it's okay for me to make mistakes. And when I changed that, and that was a couple of years ago, it really took a lot of shame, fear, anxiety out of my system. And I make mistakes a lot. I made a bunch yesterday and I have zero shame about it. I'm like, fuck it, moving on. It's
Yeah.
so great. And I used to go into like a real big, like, physiological response, just like you did, anxiety and I don't have that anymore. It feels really nice because someone like me, I go fast and I mess up a lot, and that's just how I learn. And so it's really, really freeing to not believe that anymore.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's so lucky for us to have someone who's willing to go fast and make mistakes and get
Thank you.
don't
Right.
be like, hey, don't go
Yeah.
that way. I don't know. This is like that's so good and
Yep.
so impactful. I love that.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. I love that example. I feel like a shame conversation is maybe one of the most important conversations we can have. And the difference between guilt and shame, and also that, yeah, if you're experiencing panic or anxiety, you can 100% get rid of this in your life. You do not have to manage this. You do not have to take medication unless that's the path you want to take. You can actually free your mind and body from these experiences. And
Mhm.
when they happen, you can resource yourself too. So that's what's super exciting to me. Not that there's anything wrong with taking medication. I just think that most people don't know what the reasons are for their nervous system being in that state, and education is empowerment, knowing this is your nervous system responding appropriately and you can change that. And
Right.
I love that makes total sense to me that you following your intuition 3 years ago and also being in community
Mhm.
helps you. When we're in community and we share something like, hey, I did this, and nobody runs away or stones you, you're like, oh, like they just found out I fucked up and they still love me. They probably love me even more. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's so cool. So cool. So get into community as step one to dissolve these patterns. And then if you want to go deeper, you can always do this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I love that.
100%.
I know that we're coming up on time, but I wanted to say one thing as far as mistakes go. So in my improv class, we celebrate mistakes because you got to make them to get better. And so, like, so unfair that we were punished for mistakes. I mean, when we're kids, maybe that's how I don't know, whatever. All I'm saying is I love the thought of celebrating a mistake. Of, oh, look, sure, you made a mistake and you learned something in that moment. And you showed everyone that it's okay to make mistakes and you're still alive and you're still gonna laugh and you're still gonna get things done and you're still gonna be as big and beautiful, badass, tenacious as you can be. Like, I don't yeah, I love that they do that, and it has helped, like, reframe how I've seen mistakes, and I think why not support or, like, celebrate them a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
or why? Like, "Silver, I just made a mistake, woo!"
Yeah, maybe we should just let's do that. Let's be like, let's celebrate our mistakes and see what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love that
totally.
idea. Flip the
Mhm.
script on mistakes.
Flip the scripts.
Flip the script.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, from a human design perspective, there's actual people that whose souls sign up to learn through mistakes, and my soul happened to be one of them. And yeah, I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and there's no other way I could have gotten where I am without it. So what are you gonna do?
Embrace the
Especially
mistakes.
entrepreneurs, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to get really comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Starting
You
Yep.
anything new.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You have to embrace the mistakes. Speaking of Brene Brown, the next book that I'll read in the collective, I got Strong Ground.
Love it.
Nice.
Right on.
Excited to read that and embrace the suck.
Yeah. Ellie, this has been so good and just
So
so
good.
fun to just chat through all of these things. I know it's so freaking impactful for definitely for me, and I know it will be for our listeners as well. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Yeah, I think that unshaming and letting go of judgment is something that we can do right now. We can do right now by deciding. And the power of a decision, I talk so much about the subconscious mind and how that's running the show and how our conscious mind isn't all that important. But I do want to mention we can make a conscious decision right in this moment to love ourselves more. And we can start right now to love ourselves more by deciding by deciding I love myself too much to shame myself to believe these programs. I think recognizing that it's a program that says you're bad. It's a program that says you're not enough. It's not actually true. Just recognizing that and then deciding I choose not to engage in that program anymore, even though it feels real, even though the anxiety is real and what I'm experiencing is real. I know these stories aren't, and I can start right now moving in a new direction. I can start to love myself. I can start to connect to the light, and you can start that right now. So that's what I would start with as a decision right now, to even write a contract, put it on your fridge, make a contract with yourself. I choose to love myself from this day forward, and I choose to act from this place. And then it's a journey. Obviously, it's not a one-time decision. And I think that's one of the most important things we can do, and shaming ourselves and judging ourselves are the biggest blocks to everything that the creator has for us. So if you want to receive blessings, miracles, more love and abundance, it's letting go of judgment and shame. And we
Yes.
can do that right now without
Yes.
any session, without anything. You can decide that right now. We're that
Mhm.
powerful.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Actually, I would like to share our belief statement that we said on our Psych-K call. For me, mine was, I am capable of being successful on my own.
Mhm.
And it's been great to repeat that every day since.
And mine is I surrender to God's free will.
Mhm.
And it's been fun and like it's been fun to like feel into that and think about it and it's like, okay, how do I surrender today? Oh, you gave me an opportunity right there to surrender.
Yes.
Mm. Your face. Yes.
Worth it every single time.
Right.
Ellie, it is such a pleasure to spend time with you. I just love it so much. Thank you
It's
so
so good to
much.
Agreed.
see you. Your work is so important. Community is so important. Community in which we share without fixing, share without, you know, making it mean anything. That's really what we need moving forward. So thank you, ladies, for what you're doing and that all that you are. And thank you for having me.
Of course.
You can find us on Instagram at Going Goddess Podcast and join our community of radiant rebels in the Goddess Collective on Facebook, a sacred space where we take these conversations even deeper.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. You're leading it.
Goddess vibes only. And as always, stay radiant,
Stay empowered
and keep going goddess.